We're live in Salford for the very first time in this election. It's Sunak versus Starmer, the ITV debate.
This election is all about a choice. More of the chaos and division we've seen for the last 14 years, or turning the page and rebuilding with Labour.
Beyond raising your taxes and raiding your pensions, no one knows what Labour would actually do. But you know what I would do. I'll cut your taxes, protect your pension and reduce immigration.
In the last few years, I found it very difficult to make ends meet and the money simply doesn't go far enough. All I do is work to live. I don't think you actually understand how this is for people like me. So what can you do about that?
Thank you very much indeed, Paula, for your question. Rishi Sunak.
Well, Paula, I know how much of a strain the last few years have put on your family finances, the family finances of everyone in our country. And that's why my priority has always been to do what I can to support you. That started with bold action, like the furlough scheme during the pandemic, and more recently, my clear plan to bring inflation back to normal. And now, our economy is growing again, wages are rising, and crucially, we are able to now start cutting your taxes.
I'm not going to pretend that Ukraine and COVID hasn't made things worse, but this government has lost control. Liz Truss crashed the economy. They made it worse here than in other countries, and it's people like you that are paying the price, because if a government loses control of the economy, as they have, it's working people that pay the price.
I'm a cancer survivor. My son is a nurse. I recently lost a cousin who was waiting for surgery. No one is brave enough to tell us the truth. The NHS is broken. Be honest with us. How long will it take to fix it?
Thank you very much indeed. Janet, Keir Starmer.
Janet, I'm really sorry to hear about your own position and that of your relatives. My wife works in the NHS in one of the big London hospitals. My mum was a nurse, my sister was a nurse, so the DNA, it runs through my DNA. And you can imagine just how angry I am that it's been broken, and it has been broken exactly as you describe. It's unforgivable what's happened to the NHS.
But we've put record funding in, we're training more doctors and nurses, we're doing more checks and scans, and what I want you to know is that the NHS is safe in my hands. I will always stand up for it to give you and everyone else the peace of mind that it will be there for you and your families when you need it. We are now making progress, the waiting lists are coming down, but what Keir Starmer didn't mention to you, which you did, Julie.
Waiting list 7.2 million, they're now 7.5 million. He says they're coming down, and this is the guy who says he's good at maths.
Yeah, they are now coming down. They are now coming down.
7.2 when you said you get them down, 7.2 million, they're now 7.5 million. I'd like you to explain how they're coming down.
Because they were coming down from where they were when they were higher.
7.2.
And they're now on their way down. They are down, right? Yes, because the NHS was impacted by industrial action. And if it wasn't for that, 500,000 appointments would have been saved.
So it's somebody else's fault.
If you had loved ones on a long waiting list for surgery, would you, if you felt that that was the only way forward, use private healthcare? Rishi Sunak.
Yes.
Keir Starmer.
No.
Politicians have broken so many promises on immigration. Why should I trust either of you to do anything about such large numbers of people risking their lives to cross the channel to gain access to the UK illegally?
Thank you very much indeed, Stephen. Rishi Sunak.
Stephen, immigration is too high, and we will need to take bold action to bring it down, whether that's legal migration, where we're going to introduce a new legal cap to guarantee that it will come down every year, or the boats, which you mentioned, where we got the numbers down last year by a third, and now we have a deterrent ready to go. Migrants have been detained, the flights will go in July, but only if I'm your Prime Minister.
We need to smash the gangs that are running this vile trade, making a huge amount of money, putting some of the most vulnerable people in boats across the channel. They're making a fortune. Before I was a politician, Stephen, I was the Director of Public Prosecutions, and I worked with the police and prosecutors in other countries to bring down terrorist gangs who are running across borders. I do not believe it's impossible to bring down these gangs.
If your Rwanda plan is blocked by the courts, and will this appear in your manifesto, that you would remove the UK from the European Convention on Human Rights? Is that part of your plan? Will that be in your manifesto?
I'm crystal clear. I believe all our plans are compliant with our international obligations, but if I'm forced to choose between securing our borders and our country's security or a foreign court, I'm going to choose our country's security every single time.
I'm worried about the UK's lack of leadership on the world stage. I want our PM to be strong enough to take a stand even when it's hard. So what should happen next to stop these awful scenes we're seeing in Gaza?
The situation in Gaza is intolerable. It's catastrophic. Tens of thousands of people have been killed, a disproportionate number of women and children. So, Omar, what we need now is a ceasefire, a cessation of the hostilities straight away.
But right now, you're seeing that US have put a deal on the table, which we strongly support, together with our allies, to bring an immediate end to the hostilities, release hostages, get more aid in, and then build towards a lasting settlement with a two-state solution.
Like many young people, I completed my final years of sixth form under COVID restrictions, started university under them, and I've had to deal with a cost of living crisis, a housing crisis, and an unstable world. What future can you offer my generation, and when will we become your priority?
So we would ensure that those jobs are there for you for the future, that you have the opportunity to get on. We'll build the houses so you don't have to be, 30-something, 35, 36 before you own a house under this government. But what I won't be doing is sending you on national service, some sort of teenage dad's army, which would be what the Prime Minister would say.
We will introduce a modern form of national service, and I think it's going to be transformational for young people in our country, giving them the skills and opportunities they need to succeed in life, fostering a culture of service in our society, bringing it together, but also strengthening our resilience and security for the future. And I think it is going to be something that's incredibly positive. But beyond that, I want you to have financial security. So when you get that job, when you save for that house, we make it easier.
I'll get that little piece of dandruff.